This is CBC Here and Now.
Atlantic Canada as a whole is starting to see the impacts of the fourth wave. We will not be moving to step 3 at this time.
The province halts plans to keep opening up
as COVID cases climb throughout Atlantic Canada.
It's going to be a wet night for parts of Newfoundland, and that wet weather will continue tomorrow. I'll have all the details coming up.
Hurricane Larry floods thinning sea ice. I'm asking 4 federal election candidates about climate change and how they'd handle it. That's coming up.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Peter Cowan. We begin with today's COVID update. There's confusion tonight over just what the vaccine passport might look like in this province. As other provinces roll it out, you have to prove you're vaccinated in order to get into a restaurant or the gym. But the health minister backed away from that today, saying it might be optional here, that businesses can require people to be vaccinated or not. And it might just be mandatory if there was a lockdown. Here's what he said.
We have not mandated vaccines for anybody. What the vaccine passport will be is an option for individuals and businesses to choose to use it if they wish. It should go live, we believe, around the first week of October. There may, depending on epidemiology and circumstances of case counts, where public health recommend we go to a lockdown in a certain area. I think under those circumstances, there may be conditions where using the vaccine passport could be mandatory.
Now, in that comment, he made it sound optional, but that's not what may end up happening in the end. Government officials were quick to follow up and say all the options are on the table, so they could make it mandatory, like it is in Quebec, or it could just be reserved for emergencies, like the minister was describing. It depends on the feedback they hear from people and businesses, and also the situation the province is in when this all rolls out. How many people are vaccinated? How many cases do we have? Now, it's those two numbers that are causing the province to not move to the next step of the reopen plan. Here's one of the reasons. The rate of eligible people fully vaccinated is 78%. It needs to be 80%. The Chief Medical Officer of Health says the other issue, there are too many cases both here and in other provinces.
We certainly would want to see that we have sustained low case counts, that we're not seeing any outbreaks anywhere, that we don't have areas of the province who are in a heightened alert level for whatever reason. And we'd want to have a closer look at sort of areas of the province that may have lower vaccination rates to make sure that we're doing what we need to do to get those rates higher as well.
Another announcement out of today's COVID briefing, there is another shot coming for people who are immunocompromised. This comes after the National Advisory Committee on Immunization is recommending a third shot to get better protection. Details on how this will roll out is still coming, and if you're not sure if you're considered moderately or severely immunocompromised, well, Dr. Janice Fitzgerald said today you should talk to your doctor or healthcare provider.
And we are not the only ones pausing on the reopening plan. Nova Scotia has pushed back its reopening plans until October the 4th. And that's because of a spike of new cases, including an outbreak in the northern part of that province. The next phase of the reopening plan is set to coincide with the introduction of a vaccine passport there. New Brunswick is bringing back border controls after a record number of 63 cases announced today and nearly 300 active cases. Anyone traveling to New Brunswick will have to fill out forms in advance and show proof of vaccination, similar to what's happening here. Masks are now required in schools. A vaccine passport will be required starting next Wednesday.
Anyone traveling to New Brunswick will be required to pre-register and show proof of vaccination. This includes New Brunswickers returning to the province, travelers who are unvaccinated or who have only received 1 dose of COVID-19 vaccine will be required to self-isolate for 14 days. They can stop isolating if they receive a negative COVID-19 test after day 10.
Prince Edward Island is also making changes starting tomorrow after an outbreak among young students. It's limiting personal gatherings to a maximum of 20 people, and any children under the age of 12 who leave PEI will have to undergo 3 tests upon their return. Masks will be required once again, including in schools.
As previously announced, all schools across the province will be under enhanced restrictions in the back-to-school plan with some modifications. And one of those modifications will include the masking at all times for grades 4 through 12.
Good evening, I'm Jeremy Eaton. Here's a quick look at your weather. It's going to be a little bit of a wet Wednesday for some, especially on the west coast of the island. Thursday, there's going to be a little bit of rain as well. But the good news is that there could be some Friday fun day, could be a Sunday. It's looking like it's going to be pretty good for most of the province there. We'll have all the details. Now, I know people got a kick out of the Annie joke last night, so I figured I'd share with you this picture that our very own Mark Quinn took somewhere over the rainbow. Now, the rainbow could be hitting the Health Sciences Centre there, so take with that what you will, but we'll have some good news and maybe not some good news coming up later on in the forecast.
Thanks, Jeremy. A former home care worker in Labrador is facing a charge of sexual assault. The RCMP arrested and charged a 59-year-old man in Mary's Harbour on Monday. Police say they went to a personal care home in the community late that night to deal with an assault complaint. The man was an employee of the home, and police say the investigation alleged he sexually assaulted a resident during his shift that evening. The RCMP say they have since been told the man no longer works at the personal care home.
A now retired provincial court judge has been reprimanded over a memo that he wrote more than 7 years ago. John Joy made critical comments about Crown attorneys and legal aid lawyers in Labrador. Now, they filed complaints under the Provincial Court Act. A tribunal decided that part of the memo went, quote, well beyond what would reasonably be considered acceptable commentary by a judge. Joy retired from the bench 4 years ago. Now, he dropped his appeal of the reprimand last month. The slow-turning wheels of justice came at a cost to taxpayers, nearly $1 million in external legal fees as of late 2019.
Well, he gave Muskrat Falls the go-ahead, and today an economic forum in St. John's. We heard from former Premier Danny Williams. He stood by the costly project, but another former Premier claims Williams' Muskrat defense no longer holds up. Terry Roberts explains.
It's been 11 years since Danny left the Premier's chair, and it's been a while since he's had anything to say about what's going on in the province. But today he was front and center at this forum at Memorial University. It's about the province's dire fiscal and demographic crisis and about finding solutions. Williams took the moment to talk about accomplishments.
I feel it is important to be reminded of how our policies actually made positive and identifiable differences in the lives of our residents.
A big part of Williams's legacy is Muskrat Falls, giving the green light just before he left office, now billions over budget and years behind schedule, and requiring a big bailout from Ottawa to prevent power rates from doubling. Despite all this, Williams continues to believe in the project.
So there are some legitimate criticisms out there on Muskrat Falls. Made easier, of course, with the benefit of hindsight, and easier again when made from the outside looking in. Over time, those who fundamentally opposed Muskrat Falls from day one have taken advantage of the narrative to completely erase from public disclosure the very real and tangible benefits of that project.
From the podium, Williams took shots at a familiar target, Quebec.
I was willing to work with anyone who would agree to a fair deal. But historically, Hydro-Quebec has not only not given us fair deals, they have taken advantage of or obstructed us every step of the way.
No apologies for a project that has helped push the province to the financial brink. A tone that caught the attention of this former Premier. He takes issue with Williams's old boogeyman routine.
So I had no experiences of Quebec being obstructionist, but I think Premier Williams, when he was, in his time in office, always used the anti-Quebec sentiment as a good reason and justification for doing a number of things. He hasn't changed. It's been his style ever since I've known him in politics, and it didn't change today.
Roger Grimes says Muskrat was never a viable project.
I can't understand how anybody would agree to build a project where the market is paying 5 cents a kilowatt hour for the electricity, and it's going to cost you, even in the best case scenario, 15 or 16 cents to make it. It's scandalous, really, is what it is, and it gets worse by the day.
When pressed later by reporters, Williams would only say it's common for major projects to go over budget.
Again, I had no control over the costs. I can't even speak to it.
What can be said is that the province now faces uncertain times. The government is now wrestling with the fallout of Muskrat's increased costs, and people across the province have had a lot to say about that. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, this was the scene at Supreme Court in St. John's this morning. Lawyers getting ready for submissions about whether the Muskrat Falls rate mitigation deal should be temporarily blocked. Ottawa and the province reached a framework agreement on rate mitigation earlier this summer, but Labrador Innu say they were not properly consulted and the deal will hurt them financially. The Innu have filed a lawsuit and are asking for an interim injunction to prevent the final agreement from going through, pending the results of a trial. Hearings are scheduled to wrap up Friday, and a decision is expected soon after that. It's getting close. On Monday, polling stations will open across the country for voters to cast their ballots in the federal election. Among the hot-button issues, climate change. Here now, Henrike Wilhelm checked in with 4 candidates to discuss where they each stand.
You only have to come here to the north coast of Labrador to witness it. Locals have been thrown a climate curveball. The sea ice is thinning fast. The Conservative candidate wasn't available to comment on Labrador due to conflicting schedules. The PPC candidate didn't respond to our requests, but both the NDP and Liberal candidates say they're concerned.
We depend on, sea ice and the ice in general for our transportation and to get access to hunting and fishing grounds.
In regions where we would have traveled over sea ice for extended months during the winter, it is being shortened now by 4 and 5 weeks every season.
When it comes to carbon pricing, oil subsidies in exploration and renewable energy, the 4 parties are at odds.
It's like stopping all new oil exploration. It's ending all subsidies to fossil fuel companies. It's investing in renewable energy.
Given the fact that, particularly here in Newfoundland, where we produce light, sweet crude that actually fetches some of the highest prices in the refinery world, I have no problem at all.
I live in a region of the province that is generating a lot of clean energy, but I still have more communities than any other region of the province that are dependent upon diesel generation. Do I think that's going to change overnight or immediately? It's not.
I don't agree with us being involved in the Paris Accord. We're paying carbon tax for other countries that are allowed to pollute over 10 times the amount of what we are here, and Newfoundland and Labrador being one of the lowest pollutants out of all of this. It's absolutely ridiculous that we should be paying a larger carbon tax.
Though investments into renewable energies and EV infrastructure, that's something all candidates say they'd commit to, but to different extents.
Slowly move our gas stations into an electric age, using the properties and infrastructure that are already there and creating jobs for the people on the ground as we slowly switch from oil into our future energies and more renewable energies.
We're looking at tax credits for the development of green technologies to try and expedite a quicker, more improved, if you will, achievement of the reduction of greenhouse gases. What we're trying to do here is not do it on the backs of Canadians, but what we're trying to do here is drive the consumer to make those decisions themselves.
All the candidates agree climate change is affecting the world and this province. How to best address it, that's where they disagree, especially regarding oil exploration and carbon pricing. Henrike Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, after 34 months of waiting, the new YMCA in Happy Valley Goose Bay is officially open.
3, 2, 1.
Yay! The Premier, Mayor, and head of the YMCA all gathered for today's private gathering and celebration. Health outcomes in the province are among the worst in Canada, with Newfoundlanders and Labradorians living more than 2.5 years less than other Canadians. The Premier says facilities like this are a way to counter that.
That means that we're not doing something right, of course. So we can continue to down the same road and continue to invest in the end stages, but we need to also invest in the front end so that, that economic equation changes. When we're investing in the front end of healthcare, developing healthier lifestyles, people will live longer, they'll be healthier.
The YMCA showed off its new inclusive facility. There are gender-neutral change rooms, special changing equipment for those with disabilities or mobility issues. There's also a zero-depth entrance into the pool, as well as a pool wheelchair. The second floor features a walking and running track, exercise equipment, and a studio space.
All right, staying with fitness and sports. Okay, I think, Peter, we might be making things up. Have you heard of joggling? I want to see Jeremy give this a whirl. What on earth is joggling?
I can juggle, I just can't joggle.
I can do neither. It's something that you can actually get into the Guinness World Book of Records for. So Mikkel Karpal from Ontario holds the record. That's the joggling, which is juggling and jogging, and it's all at the same time.
Now, Caprolo was recently in the province and shared some video on his social media, joggling at some West Coast landmarks. Just take a look.
2005, I first set the Guinness World Record for the fastest joggling marathon at the Toronto Waterfront Marathon. And it was going to be just a once and done, but it was too much fun, so I just kept going. And here I am 16 years later, still joggling away. It's been a blast. Yeah, my wife Diane and I are traveling here for the first time, and we're on our 20th wedding anniversary. I didn't bring any juggling balls here because I wasn't expecting to be running, although I do try to joggle pretty much everywhere I go. But I've been just picking up rocks and things here and there. So we climbed to the top of Grossmorn Mountain, and I did some joggling with the rocks, like up the side of the mountain on the way up, and then at the top, at the summit as well. It was a cloudy day, so we didn't get the view with it, but it was just a spectacular hike, and adding a little joggling to that just made it all the better.
That's just kind of showing off there. The last guy you want to meet in the produce section of your grocery store, Peter?
Yeah, I can barely walk and look at my cell phone occasionally, let alone try and keep three things in the air. So
work on joggling.
Well, there's no joggling going on there on the Parkway tonight, but it was a little bit chillier today, but it will warm up over the next couple days. I'll have those details coming up after the break.
Coming up, Hurricane Larry walloped Admiral's Beach. Agnes Hearn's house took a hit, and it's been pretty bad around here. Agnes, how bad did it get?
I tell you the truth, it got really bad. I know one of my neighbours, they're across the road there, or over the road, had to bail out her stove to light it, the wood stove, that.
All right, that's pretty bad. I'll talk to you in just a couple minutes.
Thank you.
All right, stay tuned. Problem on the roads to tell you about. Police and fire officials are dealing with a garbage truck on fire on the Trans-Canada Highway just east of Bellevue. As you can see, the black smoke billowing from the truck in this video that was posted to Facebook. Police had initially closed the road, but they've now got it reopened, but only for one lane only. The RCMP is urging caution if you're traveling in that area.
Jeremy here now with a look at the weather forecast. You promised some sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows.
Oh my God, and I delivered. The sun did come out here in St. John's. I was a bit worried because I said it would start around noon, and it did. The temperatures were a little bit cooler, but let's just take a quick look at what they are right now. Jumped ahead of the gun. So these are the current temperatures. Just take a quick look. Now, the other thing, Peter, that I harped on last night was that frost advisory. So I wanted to share with you, this is our friend Rodney Barney. He works for Environment Canada at Agander. Some frosty lows this morning, as you can see, minus 4.2 at Churchill Falls, the coldest since April 26th. Minus 1.2 at Blanc-Sablon, at airport, that is, coldest since May 26th. Badger, coldest since July 9th. So some of those places weren't in the frost advisory, but some of them were, so I was sort of right. So we're taking a quick look at the highs today. As I said, it was a little bit chillier than it had been for the last couple of days, but it will warm up. As you can see, it's 8 degrees right now in Labrador City, 12 in St. John's, 15 in Deer Lake. But there is a rain system on the way, and it is going to dampen primarily the southwest coast and the west coast, but a lot of people will see some rain over the next 24 hours. We're going to take a quick look. Now we're going to look, so this is what we're looking at tonight. So I'm just going to stand back. So obviously St. John's is going to be okay. St. John's in that area up to Bonavista, Clarenville. There will be maybe showers, but not much. Gander, Grand Falls area, you'll probably see between maybe 2 to 4 millimeters of rain tonight. But then as we move down to Burgeo, now Burgeo's not on this map, but you can see there's 5 to 10 millimeters down there. Port aux Basques, you're looking at 10 to 20 millimeters of rain tonight. Now Stephenville, Cornerbrook, and up to Gross Mourne could see anywhere between 10 and 20 millimeters. Now earlier today when I checked these numbers, it was 10 to 15, so it looks like it might be a little bit heavier rain. Now the good news is that the temperatures will stay relatively warm tonight. As you can see, it'll be 13 down in Port aux Basques, and 11 up in Cornerbrook. Now, as you move up towards St. Anthony, you're looking at it's going to be about 5 millimeters there. And I think it's Port Saunders, St. Anthony could be looking at about 5 millimeters of rain as well. And the Straits, that area will see a few millimeters. Now, if we move up to Labrador, there's a little bit of rain, but it's not going to be high amounts. Like up the north coast, I think Makovic and Hopedale and possibly Nain will see about 2 to 4 millimeters. Happy Valley Goose Bay, the same thing, about 2 to 4 millimeters. And Labrador Sea will see some showers, but no real accumulation. So now I'm going to show you why all this rain is coming by using Future Tracker. And here it is. So you can see that system moving across Labrador. And then as you see, as it zooms in there, so this is the area that's going to dampen. So that's what's going to bring all that rain to the Burgeo area, Port aux Basques, and then up to Stephenville, Cornerbrook, Gross Mourne, and into the northern peninsula. So the good news is that rain is obviously our friend, and everybody likes it, and it's not a bad thing. And as the guys at the gym say, you don't gotta shovel it, but the rain isn't gonna stop. So this is Thursday at 5 a.m., which means tomorrow it's gonna continue to rain. So places like St. John's, Ferryland, Bonavista, Clarenville, it was looking about 5 millimeters, but now it's about 2 to 4, and so that's why it doesn't appear on the map. Marystown, you're looking at about 5 to 10 millimeters of rain, and as we move into central here, you'll see a little bit of rain and showers, but not much. Harbor Breton, we'll see about 5 to 10 millimeters of rain, and as we move over to the west coast, again, that heavy rain, not heavy rain, but that rain is going to continue for most of the day. So Burgeo, Port aux Basques looking at 5 to 10 in that same area. It's that same system. Stephenville, Cornerbrook, Gross Mourne, you're also looking up at about 5 to 10, and another 5 millimeters there, Port aux Choix, St. Anthony area. And into Labrador, look at how nice it's going to look in Happy Valley Goose Bay tomorrow and Labrador City. So this is the Future Tracker, which is going to explain how we're going to have some warmer temperatures on Thursday, and then Friday is looking like it'll be a swell day. So I'm going to leave you with that and walk out of the shot, and I'll have more of a long-term forecast coming up.
The flow was by 1 o'clock in the morning. Before that we were up like 12 and we checked on it okay. But 1 o'clock should all flow.
Oh, look out the window, I said to my husband, we got to get out of here. The water, the seawater, it's everywhere.
Well, this couple saw the worst of Hurricane Larry overnight Friday. It ripped the deck away from their house, pulling it clear across the yard. There you see it. The water surge even tossed their 8 cords of wood all around. The latest from Admiral's Cove is up next. Welcome back to Here and Now. I'm in Admiral's Beach, and on Friday night, where you see these rocks, there used to be a deck. Larry decided to move that deck and pushed it all the way over to this side of the property. Walter and Agnes Hearn are the owners of this house. So Walter, what happened at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Well, the morning when she was all afloat by 1 o'clock in the morning. Before that, we were up like 12, and we were checking and it was okay. But 1 o'clock, she was all afloat.
So what do you say?
We had to get out, we had to leave it.
Right. So Agnes, when your husband says all afloat, what did you see?
Oh, look out the window. I said to my husband, we got to get out of here. The water, the seawater, it's everywhere. Yeah. And then we had our clothes on to go, and I said to my husband, how are we going to get out of here? So really a friend came down. He was going out on the wharf, supposed to saw his things up, and he see our lights on. He came over, he ran in. He said, you got to get out. You got to get out of this house because you won't get out. So he took me out in his arms because the The water was up past the fence then.
So Agnes, show me with your hand, how high was this?
I say, is that high?
So the surge came from over there?
Yes.
And from over there?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Right here into your house?
Yes.
That's pretty high.
That's pretty high. Breakwater on the other side.
Yeah.
Over on the wharf, came in all over the place.
Right. So Walter, what were you doing as this was happening?
Well, yeah, I was going out to get. I was going out myself, right, and I couldn't get. I held on to Agnes to get out, and then the other young fella grabbed her and took her in his arms and went on in his car with her.
All right. So
I got in the car myself.
You got carried outside of the house.
Yeah.
I got carried outside of the house, and he put me in the car. So I said to him, I said, you got to go and help Walter.
Yeah.
I said, he just can't get over the van. And he put me in the car, so he went over and helped my husband to get in. So I went up to my sister's. This friend dropped me off there, and Walter came in his own van, but he couldn't get the door closed with the pressure water till he got up over the hill.
Because there's that much water.
There was that much water, and like there was no debris then, but when I came down that morning, when they came up 6 o'clock in the morning and told me when I was up with my sister, all the damage done and debris, you can't get over the road, and 8 cord of wood gone, and twisted all over from here down the beach right over the wharf over there by the beautiful fish plant.
When the surge of water happened, how quickly did this all happen?
It must happen quickly. Had to, sure, right quick.
We looked over on the wharf 12 o'clock, and Walter said, because the lights were on then, because we lost power afterwards, but Walter looked over, he said, there's no surge yet, there's nothing come over the wharf. We couldn't believe 1 o'clock that we came out, and everything was flooded.
Yeah.
Inside the house?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, there was full of water in the house, all over, right?
So as all this water was coming in, how scared were you?
I was so scared.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep no more the rest
But I
of the
didn't
night. When I went up to my sisters.
I went up over the hill and I come down again to check on it.
Right. Like I said, the worst since I married 48 years, I never see it.
No.
Now you're sitting on a deck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sitting on the deck, the walls ridging over there.
They was washed away from my foundation.
It used to be over there.
Used to be over there.
That's a big deck, that too.
It's a big cleanup that you're facing right now, right? So what are you guys facing as far as the cleanup goes?
Oh, the cleanup.
Well, we're facing a lot.
That's something else because we don't know if the insurance is going to cover it, right? So we don't know that yet, but they say 95% no. So we just we hauled up everything all inside yesterday with the help of all our friends and neighbors and everybody else, and got humidifiers now in there trying to dry up things and just see what's going to happen from there. And if nothing happens, like I said, the government have to relocate us. I'm not safe here anymore.
No.
Yeah, and the breakwater is gone, right?
And the breakwater is gone, so you need. I don't know how much money you need for that breakwater, because you want all them big rocks, but you call them
Armstone.
Armstone rock and all that, right?
Yeah. But when you guys had a chance for your heart rate to come down, you could talk to each other, I guess, at the end of it, this is all property damage and all that, but you two at least were safe in all this.
Oh yes, we're lucky to be safe, and thank God for that, and all your friends, they give you so much comfort, and we would never get by without them people.
Yeah. Well, people in Admiral's Beach kind of pull together, right?
All the people at Admiral's Beach pull together.
Well, Walter and Agnes, I know this is a difficult time, but you're both safe, and now it's time to rebuild. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now, a couple of months ago, we told you about the old fish plant in Admiral's Cove, and that plant had been left there to rot, the provincial government not doing anything to clean it up. And I asked Mayor Teresa Bungie if there has been any progress and whether she's surprised that Larry didn't knock down the entire plant.
I can't believe it. It's incredible. It's the only word I can describe. It's incredible. Yeah, never moved. Not a thing. Not a board came off this place. And this is what, in their wisdom, the department has done, Department of Fisheries, since they put up this plastic fence right across here. And that's going to really keep the building make it look really nice and pretty.
Yeah, a little bit of netting.
Yeah, a little bit of netting.
Any update on the situation of this?
Absolutely nothing. No, we're constantly in touch with the department and there's nothing happening. That's all I can say. Politicians are out now knocking on doors, so, you know, who knows? Maybe, you know, they'll do something for us. But I'm not going to hold my breath.
Federal party leaders were trying to drum up support today in the final stretch of the election campaign. Near Chicoutimi, Quebec, Conservative Party leader Aaron O'Toole appealed to voters who may not have considered voting for his party in previous years.
I want to know your thoughts, your hopes, fears, and dreams. And I hope when Monday rolls around, even if you're uncertain about your vote, you'll look at Canada's Conservatives a little differently. From the first day of my leadership, my priority has been to build a Conservative movement where every Canadian can feel at home, inclusive, diverse, forward-looking, progressive, worker-friendly. We're not your dad's Conservative Party anymore.
Now, O'Toole acknowledged his party may have let down voters in the past and said things would change under his leadership.
We followed all public health guidelines around capacity, around people in the room, because we do need to follow those public health guidelines as we get through this. At the same time, we need to recognize that close to 80% of Canadians have done the right thing, gotten themselves vaccinated, those who are eligible. And that means that for those people, being able to come back to doing the things we love is more and more of a possibility.
Well, in Halifax, Liberal leader Justin Trudeau defended his party's decision to hold an event in a packed banquet hall in Brampton, Ontario last night. You're seeing the footage of that right there. Aaron O'Toole and others have criticized Trudeau for holding an event like that during a pandemic.
Anti-Semitism is real. We're seeing a scary rise in anti-Semitism, and we are unequivocally opposed and will confront it and will deal with it wherever it is.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh made an appearance in southwestern Ontario where he faced questions about two candidates who made anti-Semitic comments. He said both have done the right thing by resigning.
Housing has become a major election issue, with each of the three main parties promising to build, renovate, or preserve more than 1 million homes. But a CBC News investigation has found a major plank of the federal government's national housing strategy may not be as it appears. Administered by the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, the program is designed to encourage rental unit construction, providing developers low-interest loans on the condition that they include affordable units in their project. But as Shayna Luck reports, the affordable rental rates are far higher than what many expect.
Haley Cormier has lived all her life in Moncton. Last December, she scored this subsidized public housing unit. With her rent set at $330 a month for the first time in years, she's not worried about making the payments.
Everybody's struggling. It's not just people on fixed incomes, but that's the biggest issue is the people on fixed incomes cannot afford the basic rent.
This building in suburban Moncton is supposed to help. The federal government is loaning $16 million to the developer under what's called the Rental Construction Financing Initiative. The minister responsible for the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation made the announcement in March.
38 of those units will be deeply affordable.
The building opens next month with an average rent of $1,500 a month. The cheapest units are more than $1,100 a month.
I'd love to be able to sit down with the person who decided that and actually ask them to tell me how and why they believe that that's affordable, because I think it's a joke.
The CMHC defines affordability as units costing less than 30% of the median family income for the area. But in Moncton, the median family income is more than $83,000, higher than the median income of most renter families. A CBC analysis of more than 130 construction loan projects across the country found the same trend in the majority of cases. Buildings that were considered affordable were more expensive than the average rent in the area. This site will become a large building in Halifax with average rents around $1,500 a month. That's $300 more than the average rent in the city. Charlottetown has several similar developments at a similar price. That hasn't stopped the federal government from trying to frame the construction loan program in a low-cost light. Justin Trudeau recently announced some units costing on average $1,700 a month.
Take a young grocery store worker who wants to stay in this community but simply can't afford to buy a home and needs more rental options close to their workplace. This is who these affordable units are for.
Originally, the program was only meant to increase a relatively small number of rental units in Canada. This consultant says it works for that purpose, but to call them affordable confuses the issue.
They're affordable in a sense in that they're more affordable than they would be otherwise, but they're not necessarily deeply affordable. They're not affordable for forever.
He questions how politicians are selling this story to the public.
It's catnip. It's irresistible.
This Carleton University research fellow goes a step further. He wants the government to take its focus completely off loans to for-profit developers. In the last 5 years, rental housing starts have taken off, but only a small percentage of that boom happened because of the federal program, according to his analysis.
So 95% of the rental starts were being done by developers who basically said, well, the market seems to be generating reasonable returns. It makes sense for us to invest in rental, and off they went.
Pomeroy says this raises two questions. Do we still need the program, and should the affordability criteria be changed? In a statement, the minister responsible for CMHC, Ahmed Hussein, defended the criteria for the program. He said a recent audit found the program is still relevant because there's still a need for more rental housing. But that same audit acknowledged this program does not use what it calls the standard definition of affordability. Shayna Luck, CBC News, Halifax.
Well, turning now to COVID research, new information suggests those who are pregnant and have COVID-19 are 5 times more likely to be admitted to hospital than non-pregnant women and 10 times more likely to end up in an intensive care unit. Researchers are hoping that will encourage those who are pregnant to get vaccinated. Lauren Pelly has that story.
Alex Carnio has 1 young child and 2 more on the way. Being pregnant with twins made getting COVID-19 last month even more terrifying.
I started having chest pain, unable to really breathe easily. I started not being able to keep any liquids down.
The 28-year-old wasn't vaccinated yet and wound up hospitalized for 5 days.
They did put me on oxygen for 2 days, and that was something totally shocking to me.
But not shocking to researchers like Dr. Wendy Whittle.
So we know that the infection has an impact both on the health and well-being of mom and the outcome of the pregnancy.
Whittle co-authored a new research paper on the risks of getting COVID-19 while pregnant, including a higher chance of needing a C-section and having a preterm birth. The latest available Canadian data also suggests people who are pregnant are nearly 5 times more likely to be admitted to hospital for COVID-19 than their non-pregnant peers, and 10 times more likely to be admitted to an ICU. Sources told CBC News 1 pregnant woman in Alberta recently died from COVID-19. And provincial officials there say 6 women with COVID-19 in total were admitted to the province's ICUs in August. All of them were unvaccinated. It's a trend researchers are seeing both in Canada and beyond. People who are pregnant are typically less likely to get their shots, despite facing higher risks if they're infected.
We have a vaccine that works in pregnancy, that is safe.
Oh, almost. Carnio wishes she'd gotten vaccinated earlier, but says pregnant women have long heard mixed messaging about what's safe.
I've looked at my own experience, and the alternative of not being vaccinated and ending up in a critical care ward in a hospital was a million times worse.
She's hoping other parents-to-be avoid that kind of close call. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. Well, we may be approaching a new season, but gardeners will tell you there's still a lot of work left to do this time of year, and of course, lots to look forward to.
Yeah, but one St. John's gardener isn't too concerned with crops. Over the decades, she's steered away from fruits and vegetables.
Yep, Debbie Powers is all about the flowers. See for yourself.
Anything for color. Our season is so short here. So I plant these myself, and the garden has taken, golly, I would say 20 to 30 years, if I really am honest about it. And it's grown in bits and bobs. Do I know what I'm doing? Absolutely not. If it fits there and it blooms, that suits me fine. There's a little bit of everything in this garden which I love. Behind me here is the ladies' mantle, which if you go on up through, you'll see lots of things that everybody's had. We've had beautiful blooms which we've now missed in the rhododendrons and the azaleas. I love the flowers, I don't care what it is. I love the challenge in Newfoundland because really it's a very short growing season. It's brought so many different people to this garden that I used to see them take pictures and invite them over. And one wonderful young man came and knocked on the door one day, and he and his wife wanted to have pictures taken here. And what a joy, you know. I was delighted to see them. So we've had that happen. And then there was a beautiful story of some elderly gentleman, or older gentleman at the time, rang the bell one day. And when I went out, he had a camera in his hand, and he asked me could he take some pictures. So I said I'd be delighted, please do. Long and short of it all, I knew no more than that, but at Christmas the doorbell rang again, and this gentleman stood on this doorstep and brought me the most beautiful pictures that he had taken. But what touched me most was he had been suffering a very hard time with depression, and when he came to the door that day, the camera and all lifted, I hope, and helped a little. So, I mean, what else can I ask for? Well, you know, it's like everything else in life. You have to have some patience, and you have to give it time and enjoy it, and you're going to make mistakes. We all do, trying to figure out if a plant likes it here or there. But the main thing is, please just enjoy it. It's not going to be perfect. But if you like it, that's all that matters. So I don't grow vegetables, but I do the flowers, and they do give me a huge amount of joy. And as I said, I hope lots of other people are always welcome. The watering and fertilizing, yeah, it takes, but it's not work if you love it. You know, the watering is perhaps the one thing. I love to water, but this garden does take a big amount of water. But nonetheless, you know, I've got, as I've said so often, I have a lot to be grateful for, and this is one thing I love.
Okay, so...
No need to water your plants if you're living on the West Coast. Sorry, I had to jump in there.
September showers brings October, I don't know.
Who's to say? I can't think of anything that rhymes. Anyways, I'll think about it. I'll get back to you. Let's just move on. Sorry. I had nothing, Peter. I had nothing. I'm sorry. So this is what we're looking at Friday night. As you can see, this is a little bit of a system here. That this is what it's going to look like. This is why it seems to be most of the province is going to have a pretty good time on Friday, weather-wise, because there's no real systems moving down through. You can see a little bit of cloud cover. Northern Labrador might get a little bit of rain, but it's looking pretty solid. And these are the temperatures that we're going to be dealing with on Friday, and I'll take full credit for it if it actually happens. So you're looking at like 18 degrees in St. John's, 18 in Labrador City, 20 degrees in Cartwright, 19 in Nain. It's going to be a pretty hot Friday. Now, you're probably wondering, will it stick around for the weekend? Well, the hope is that it will. The bad news is that it won't. So here's what's going to happen Friday. So obviously, as we get into Saturday, you're going to see the green monster of rain slowly move its way across Labrador and the island there on the west coast, southwest coast. So that's going to bring a little bit of rain. Not a lot of rain, but it means that it's not like you can go out suntanning this weekend, and it's probably not going to be good for your flowers after getting all that rain that's going to come tonight and tomorrow. Excuse me. So that system will move on. So now we're going to take a quick look at the 5-day forecast. And as I promised you, It's going to be nice on Friday, you know, on the eastern part of Newfoundland. It's going to look nice on Saturday and Sunday. There will be a little bit of cloud cover, but the temperatures are going to stay fairly warm. And I fixed the double screen, so there we go. Let me just step out of this shot for a second so you can have a look. In Central, it's going to be nice, I said, on Friday, but like Saturday and Sunday, you're looking at a little bit of rain, but there's going to be no accumulation. But what I want you to pay attention to is those temperatures into the 20s there in Western and in Central over the weekend. So the little bit of a chill down that we had today will move out and a warmer system will move in and bring warmer temperatures for not only Newfoundland but also for Labrador. If we take a quick look up there in the Big Land, look at that. Eastern Labrador could hit as high as 23 degrees on Friday. Now, Western Labrador, maybe I spoke too soon. I probably should have read this over first. Western Labrador is going to be a little bit chillier there, but at least the sun will be out on Sunday. And you'll have a little bit of rain there in Eastern Labrador and up in the north on Saturday, but it doesn't seem to be a lot of accumulation. Now, earlier in the show, we showed you a picture that our colleague Mark Quinn had taken of a rainbow, and I found in our weather photos, we often encourage you to send in a weather photo, we found another picture of a rainbow. And this picture was taken in front of the Colonial Building here in St. John's. Lots of colors there. Now, as far as I know, Bannerman Park is still closed because of all the wind. And this picture was taken by Audrey Parnell, and she sent that in. She said she was walking her dog at 7:15 this morning. She got a quick snap of this, and then it was gone.
I missed it this morning, Jeremy.
Yeah, I too.
You didn't tell me there were going to be rainbows this morning.
Double rainbow. Okay, so
just a single one,
we were talking about this. We can get rid of this, Gary. We were talking about this earlier today, but it is our dear colleague Anthony Germain's birthday.
Oh, great.
So our very own Chrissy Holmes and Chelsea Jacobs, who works behind the scene, have brought in the specialty platter. Look at that.
This is made entirely out of office supplies. Happy birthday. Oh, and this birthday hat, Chelsea.
Okay. Oh, we got a birthday hat for you.
I was wondering how. I thought, there's a lot of time left in the show. Do I wear this on my head or on my face?
That's for your head.
Well, Chrissy, they can't hear you, so you got to come closer.
There we go.
Oh
That's
yeah.
for your head.
That's my look.
That is a good look. It's a good use
Yeah.
of the mask.
Thank you so much.
You can't really see it here, but there is a picture of Anthony with a CBC microphone and a CBC
There we
cell.
go.
There we go. Nice. That's why Gary Locke gets paid the big bucks. Anyways, Anthony,
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday, Anthony, and thank you, Chrissy and Chelsea, for bringing it out, and thank you, Julie and
It's
Gary.
very
they're planning
kind.
for it all.
You shouldn't have, but thank you.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you.
Peter and I would sing, but nobody wants
He's
to
looking
hear
great
me.
for 42. I got to say that.
All right. Peter, you can stick around. Thanks a lot for watching.
Have a great
Good
night,
night.
everyone.
We'll see you all tomorrow.
Cake to eat.
And some candles to blow out.
I'll need a spade.
I think